Morning. Hope everybody had a nice Thanksgiving. I know we did. We had a nice family celebration in face of the tyrannical guidelines of local governments. So I hope you all did the same thing and did not let the government hinder your holiday plans. Do the same for Christmas. So I was missing in action for a few days making videos. We'll get back to a more consistent flow here now that my work schedule will slow down and we are back in town from the holidays. Real quick, today we need to talk about an interview that Michael Flynn, his first interview since being pardoned by Trump. I implore you to go to worldviewweekend.com. worldviewweekend.com. Watch the interview with Michael Flynn. Also on there is retired Lieutenant General McInerney and journalist Mary Fanning, I believe her name is. Okay, so Flynn didn't go into too much detail. He just kind of thanked President Trump. He went over how important it is not to let this election get stolen. He kind of gave some hints that he's got some inside information that go in our favor, specifically to the broader picture of the hammer and scorecard supercomputer that we spoke about, the one that the CIA made years ago to try and use to influence other countries' elections. And apparently now it's been turned against us, the American people. So Flynn gave about a 30-minute interview. So then this Lieutenant General McInerney gets on. Now, a little bit of history on him. He's a retired three-star general. He was at one point third in command of the Air Force. He was a contributor on Fox News for 15, 16 years. And now he runs a computer analytics company. They deal with cloud, and that's not my strong suit, so I might be misspeaking, but he's basically a very experienced military intelligence analyst. So he started going into the hammer and scorecard supercomputer, the Dominion machines, and the Smartmatic software. Now, this information was available and a report came out on it in 2017. Now, crazy enough, or maybe not crazy enough, that story broke in the media in December 2017, the day before the major Russia collusion hoax stuff got thrust upon us in the media. So this Mary Fanning, along with Lieutenant General McInerney, were working on this story to get it out there in the press about all this voting software that can be used to rig elections. So they get this huge story out there, the media picks it up, but a day later, the only news available to man for the next 3 years was Trump, quote-unquote, colluded with Russia. So he's in tight with Sidney Powell, and he gave some very interesting information about the Kraken. So we've all heard Sidney Powell saying she's going to release the Kraken, and everybody thought it was kind of a metaphor for something. Well, this Lieutenant McInerney claims that the Kraken is the name of a special military special forces unit, the 305th Military Battalion. And he claims that that 305th Military Battalion is the special forces that went into the CIA computer warehouse where Smartmatic and hammer and scorecard was kept in Frankfurt, Germany. He claims that the special forces invaded this, I don't know if it's a warehouse or an office, to seize these computers, and that they had a shootout with the CIA. And he claims there was a couple Army military casualties in that raid, and that they did seize the computers. So according to McInerney, what you have here is the United States Special Forces, the 305th Kraken Military Battalion, raiding a CIA facility in another country and them having a gun battle with each other. Crazy, right? Now, I guess it's up to you if you want to believe Lieutenant General McInerney, but Lieutenant Flynn believes him, and I've got faith in Flynn. Trump does as well, so it's really some interesting information. So you got Hammer and Scorecard with the Smartmatic software manipulating the votes via computer. So you have to go to that worldviewweekend.com website and you need to watch that interview. It's about an hour and a half long. The good stuff is really at about the 30-minute mark. From the 30-minute mark on is where they're talking about this military battalion and how they went into the CIA facility. Now, I believe since we last spoke, Trump has appointed Chris Miller as the Secretary of Defense. Now, Chris Miller has a history as a Special Forces guy. And one of his first orders of business last week was to direct all military, Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, all their special forces across all branches to report directly to him. Now, my assumption is that the reason for him doing that is that the deep state can't use any of the United States military special forces to conduct any sort of covert operation or operations that the Trump team won't know about. Just like them lying to Trump about their troop level in Syria. It's treason. That's all it is. Alright, so we're really running out of time here in the courts. And, you know, Trump just did an interview on Maria Bartiromo's show on Fox, Sunday Morning Futures. And he was kind of, you could tell in his voice, none of these judges are hearing any of their cases. And he's getting a little bit concerned that the Supreme Court won't even hear their cases. That it's really going to take a brave, strong judge or a panel of judges to step in here and do something. So he sounded a little defeated in that none of these judges have really heard any of our cases. They're just throwing them to the side, not even looking at the evidence, saying they're just not going to look at it. So it's really going to be up to the United States Supreme Court to get a hold of some of these cases and at least hear the cases. So we're up against this December 14th deadline when the states certify their votes and name their electors to cast the vote of each state. So at this point, if anybody's wondering what they can do, they need all these swing states where there's a problem, even if you don't live there. You need to get on the internet and go to DuckDuckGo or Google and just Google. We'll use Pennsylvania for example. Pennsylvania Republican government representatives in that state. And you'll come up with a GOP website of all the Republican representatives in each state. And we need to be emailing them, calling them, leaving messages on their machines. Like I've called Governor Kemp's office in Georgia probably 20 times. And it goes straight to a machine. But I don't care. I leave a message every time. We need to be on their Twitter, on their Facebook, on their Parler. A lot of these people, I think we all think they know more than we do. And in some instances, it's not the case. Anybody can run for office. Even people without legal experience. I don't have legal experience. But if you do a little bit of research, you can figure out, you know, what the Constitution allows government officials to do and what it doesn't allow them to do, what the law calls for. For instance, in Pennsylvania, the Constitution very clearly states that it's the legislature in each state that makes or changes election laws and rules and how voting is done. Now, the Secretary of State in Pennsylvania did not adhere to that stipulation in the Constitution. 2 days before the election, he amended a bunch of voting rules and regulations to allow this mail-in mail-in voting and all the chaos to incur. So I implore you, every swing state, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Georgia, Nevada, Arizona, I think I already said Arizona. I know it takes time, but this is what we need to do to try and save our nation right now. If we put the pressure on these Republican representatives, they will act. If you tell them, some of them don't even know they have the power to stand up against this unconstitutional stuff. They just go with the flow of their peers in the government. And that's the deep state. The deep state is going with the flow of whoever's greasing their palms. So it's up to the people to put pressure on them, because what they cherish more than anything is getting reelected. So they will do, if it's powerful and clear enough, they will do what their constituents want them to do. But they need to hear loud and clear that each one of these representatives' constituents in their district or their county or their state is watching. We're paying attention. We want them to stand up for President Trump. We want them to stand up against this voter fraud, the clear voter fraud, and do something about it. They have the power to do something about it. They have the power to put the pressure on these judges to hear these cases. So it's up to the people, even if you don't live in, say, Georgia. If you live in North Carolina, you can call down there. You don't even have to say where you live. You just say, hey, my name is such and such, and I represent a group of 300 strong Republicans here, and we're calling to let you know that we're watching you. We have our eye on what you're doing. You need to stand with President Trump. You need to stand against this voter fraud and do something, or else we will never vote for you or your party again. This is a call to all the American people to do the research, to find the contact information for Republican representatives across this country, and to really put the pressure on them. This is our chance to have our own revolution. We're the Paul Reveres now. Stand up to this tyranny. They're stealing the government. If Biden would have won fair and square, so be it. But that's not what's happening now. This is treason. They're stealing. It's clear. Trump knows it. But the deep state in Washington is convincing the local politicians on the local level not to do anything about it. But the people can change that. So there you go. You need to watch that World News Weekend. Let me get that right. WorldViewWeekend.com. You need to watch the interview with Michael Flynn, Lieutenant General McInerney, and the other journalist, Mary Fanning, excuse me. Watch that interview so you can see what's going on, and contact representatives across the nation constantly. Just keep calling them, and I implore you to make a list of their contact, their name and their information, send it to all your friends, and tell them to do the same thing. This is a fight. We're in the middle of it. We can win it, but we need to act. Okay, so it's on us, the American people, to stand with Trump right now. Return the favor. He's been there for us. It's time for us to be there for him. The American people can win this, and Trump can win this. It's up to us now.